Jake Heaps now joins us from ESPN 710 in Seattle. Coaches at Elite 11, the Russell Wilson Quarterback Academy. That's my quarterback. Former BYU quarterback. And now he added Ninja Warrior to the resume this week. Jake, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation, man. Congrats on winning the Zach Wilson sweepstakes 2 years ago.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Super pumped to be back with you. It's fun when you get these predictions right. It turns out I'm a better evaluator than I was a player. But when it comes to guys like Zach Wilson, I had a unique background with him, just in the sense that I got a chance to see him coming out of high school at one of the Elite 11 camps in Oakland, and this kid really stood out to me. It was funny because he went there, and his mindset, he was just really kind of overwhelmed, excited to be there. Just, man, the Elite 11, the bigness of it, and he didn't necessarily blow the doors off of all the evaluators, but I really was impressed with what I saw from him. I go back, watch his film at Canyon Corner, and I'm like, I kid you not, guys, I'm like sitting by myself at my house, and I'm watching this film, and I'm almost like looking around like, how the heck is this kid not more highly recruited? And at the time, he was a firm Boise State commit, and BYU hadn't really been much in the conversation at that point, just kind of under the radar. I'm going, what the heck is BYU doing right now? Not pursuing this kid even harder. And I'm glad it worked out for BYU. And certainly it wasn't a linear path for Zach Wilson at BYU. It wasn't the cleanest path to get to where he is, but it was zero surprise to me to see where he's at. A tremendous talent, had all the tools to be special in the college game, and I'm really, really excited to see what he does with the New York Jets.
Well, this is what always fascinates me, especially with players who get identified early in their career. And like you were saying, it is a situation where you saw him early, and there was just something about him that stood out. What is it that because when you're in those Elite 11 camps, everybody, for the most part, is pretty equal. They're all really, really good. So what is it about Zach or just the evaluation process that sometimes you can just spot things early? I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah, there's a couple aspects that really stood out to me. Is one, a lot of these kids are really polished. Quarterback training is the norm now. When I was coming out of high school, it was still something that some kids did, but it was still unique. It was still rare for every quarterback across the country to have their own trainer, to be working with somebody. I was one of those guys just because I was such a gym rat and was such a seeker. But Zach was more of kind of the opposite way. He had done some trainings, but just really raw. And one of the things that really stood out to me was his athleticism, how explosive he was, how twitchy he was, whether it was running the football, whether it was throwing the football. And you really do some, upside projections with Zach Wilson. And it's really, if he goes to the right system, if he's in the right place, if he has the right ecosystem around him offensively from a coaching staff perspective, man, this kid could really turn into something special. And so his ceiling was extremely, extremely high compared to some of these other quarterbacks that, yeah, they might have been further along in the process at the high school level, but their upside, their ceiling wasn't much greater than where they were at that current time. And so those are the things that stood out to me about Zach Wilson. The other thing that stood out to me about him is, I had a chance to train him again after his freshman year, and just the confidence, the natural confidence that he has in himself that isn't forced, that isn't something that he tries to show off to everybody. It's just who he is. And that is a unique, special trait that you have to have as a quarterback these days. All the great ones have it, but especially when it comes to the days of social media and social platforms and all the, the famous BYU chat rooms and all this stuff. I mean, you just got to have an incredible, confidence in who you are and really have a great understanding of who you are and not, get your validation from other people around you.
Talking to Jake Heaps on BYU Sports Nation. Obviously, you were on Ninja Warrior this week. You were hoping to finish and move on. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Whatever. How'd you get that invite, and what was that experience like?
Let me be clear, okay? Let me be clear. My hope was to get past the first obstacle. That was my goal right then and there. It was funny. They take you through the process, guys. You don't get to run the course. You don't get to try out different things. You don't even know what the course is going to be until you show up. So when you talk about these athletes that make it through, these ninjas, I mean, it is incredible what these guys do. So if you're sitting there on your couch and you're watching these guys, you're going, nah, I could do that. I could do that. No, you can't. Like just trust me. You can't. And they're walking me through the course, and they're taking me step by step. Here's the rules. Here's this and that. And they get to about obstacle number 2, obstacle number 3. And in my mind, I'm going, guys, you really don't need to take me past the other part of the courses because I'm not getting that far. But I'm just nodding my head along like, yep, got it. Yep, I'm right there with you. If I get to this point, I'll totally nail that. But it's incredible what they do. It was such a fun experience. I got a call, guys, out of the blue, just driving home, got a call, answered it. Hey, this is one of the producers for American Ninja Warrior. We'd love to have you on the show. We're going to be filming here in Washington, and we love your story and all that. And I was like, this is who? Are you kidding me? It was too great of an opportunity to pass up. Although there was a lot of fears and a lot of anxiety about, gosh, what are people going to say about me? And this is totally, completely out of my comfort zone. I just went for it, and I'm really glad I did. It was such a fun experience. It was a blast.
When you got that call, you probably thought you were getting punked by a buddy or something.
I did. I totally did, guys. And I texted my wife, and I said, you'll never believe who called me. And she's like, no, like, are you sure they're not trying to, like, get to somebody else that other people that you know or whatever? I'm like, thanks, babe. I appreciate the support.
Vote of confidence. Thank you so much.
They wanted to wrestle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Jake, how do you even train for this? Because as you mentioned, you didn't even get a chance to see the obstacle course. And it's not like there are people who are in really good shape that aren't going to be in good enough shape to be able to do something like that. I've even seen a lot of the participants in this, they'll create their own obstacle course at home or somewhere to be able to train for stuff like that. How did you even train to be able to do this?
Well, to be honest, guys, this has been such a phenomenon in terms of American Ninja Warrior, and such a special, unique community. They're the nicest people. They're competitors, but they are the nicest people you'll come across. It's a very supportive community. And so when I announced I was going to do it, there was actually a couple ninja gyms, believe it or not, that were around here that reached out to me and said, hey, we would love to train you if you want to do it. And took them up on that offer, obviously. But there are, people that are setting stuff up in their backyards now. There's gyms specifically solely for these purposes. And guys, it is training unlike anything you've ever done. It's all about grip strength. It's all about your forearms, your shoulders. If anybody sits there and tries to say, if I was ever in a situation where I was hanging off a cliff and my life depended on it, I would hold on no matter what. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're probably going to fall off. Like, that's probably the end, because the amount of grip strength you have to be successful in American Ninja Warrior, it's incredible. And I'll never forget the first workout that I did. A lot of it's dead hanging, pull-ups, holding on ropes, all these things. And my forearms were completely blown out. I could barely pick up a pen after I was done with this workout. So it was an incredible experience. So much respect for the ninjas that participate in this every year. It was a very eye-opening experience, but it was so much fun to get it in a competitive environment again, to have the adrenaline running before you go out. And guys, to be honest, the most special thing for me was seeing my family up there on the screen watching me do this. My son Jackson, 4-year-old at the time, and my son Bodie, 1, and my wife cheering me on. Like, I got emotional. I'm sitting there like, don't cry. It just was such a cool moment, and I'm really glad we got to experience that and share it together.
We're talking to Jake Heaps on BYU Sports Nation. I was going to watch Vertical Limit later, but I apparently am not after that chat with Jake. I wanted to ask you about Puka Nacua, a little off the radar. Obviously transferring from Washington to BYU. You pay attention to UW and the Huskies, of course, there in Seattle. What kind of player is he? Because we think he could be the leading receiver this year, Kid from Orem, goes to Washington, transfers back to BYU, comes home, as we like to say. But we have high expectations for Puka. What do you think of him?
Well, you should have high expectations for Puka. I've had the unique opportunity to see him up close and personal. You guys all know Ross Oppo and the great work he does there with a lot of the receivers and skill position guys there in Utah. And so I had a chance to see Puka, get to know him quite a bit actually before he committed to UW. And I thought he was tremendously talented and tremendously special. And it just unfortunately didn't work out here at UW. Not because of Puka, but because of this offense and what they were running here at UW. It just didn't highlight his strengths. I thought he was right to transfer out, to go to BYU, to be in an offense that's a little bit more explosive, that's going to pass the ball more. And your guys' expectations that he's the leading receiver, I think, are very justified, and I think that he's going to live up to that billing. So I'm very excited for Puka, and I think he's going to do great things there at BYU this year. He has all the talent in the world to be able to get that done.
The question, Jake, is which quarterback is going to be throwing passes to Puka and the rest of the receivers this year? You obviously certainly qualified to talk about quarterbacks and quarterback battles at BYU. What do you make of the three quarterbacks vying for the starting job in Jaren Hall, Baylor Romney, and the freshman Jacob Conover?
Yeah, it's a really unique situation, guys, because once you head into training camp with not two but three, it's already hard enough as it is with two. You get three involved, it can. I just got to be honest with you. It concerns me to the point where how are you divvying up those reps? How long are you divvying up those reps? Because the quite honest truth is that you didn't get spring ball. You didn't get the opportunity to get these guys reps and to really, filter this thing out and get down to two quarterbacks at this point in time. So how long are you going to play with that if you're the offensive staff, if you're Aaron Roderick? Because you've got to narrow this thing down. You've got to get a starter prepared and ready if you want to be successful this season. And so that's going to be a unique challenge. Jaren Hall obviously has very unique traits. His athletic ability really brings a lot to the table. And I think that if you're just looking at upside, Jaren Hall is a guy that I think you might be pulling for quietly behind the scenes. Obviously, with Baylor Romney and Jacob Conover, those are two traditional pocket passers that can run the system that I think can do a good job. You worry about Jacob Conover just being a freshman, but he's got a unique sense and confidence about him that I think he could pull it off and be successful. I've been around him before, and I really like him. And I think Baylor Romney, he's got the leg up on everybody just through the experience of being able to start an actual game and play against legit competition. But my only concern about Baylor, and this is, again, they've not had practice, so this is not Baylor's fault, is, all right, you've had this leg up in competition and experience, and yet you haven't pulled away in the minds of the coaches. So that part of it concerns me as well. So overall, I think that these are three capable guys that can really be successful within your program, but it's a matter of time. It's a matter of reps. And if we're past 2 weeks, guys, and there's not a definitive answer on where we're at, I'm going to be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, I agree, and asked Aaron Roderick as much, like, how long until you figure this out? Because I would think you'd want 2 weeks of number one reps going to that guy. So we'll see what happens, but just a couple weeks away from fall camp. We look forward to it. Jake, congratulations on getting on Ninja Warrior, and we appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys, anytime, and always a blast. So thank you, and have a good rest of your day.